Good evening, everyone. A great day, isn't it? No Tuesdays went, no classes, good food, nice presentations, and creative displays. A hint to name a few. Each and every one of us a big hint. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Dr. Rosalyn Hargraves. Dr. Hargraves is Division Director for the Division of Undergraduate Education at the National Science Foundation. If you do not know, this division strengthens STEM education at 2 four-year colleges and universities. She's a professor of electrical and computer engineering at Virginia Commonwealth University. Dr. Hargraves' research interest is wide-ranging. I have a long list. From STEM education to diversity, equity, inclusion in higher education, to machine learning, to biomedical signal and imaging processing, and to the role of science and technology in international development. Dr. Hargraves received her bachelor's, master's, and doctorate degrees in electrical engineering from the University of Virginia. She has had 25 years at Virginia Commonwealth University. While she was there, she co-funded the College of Engineering, Department of Electrical Engineering, and she has served in numerous leadership roles, including Associate VP for Inclusive Excellence, the Director for Virginia Commonwealth University, University of KwaZulu-Natal International Partnership, Associate Dean for College of Engineering, Interim Co-Chair in School of Education, Department of Teaching and Learning. Dr. Hargraves has consulted with private industry in the area of machine learning and co-funded a startup based on her own research in biomedical imaging processing. She has been awarded sponsored research grants as principal investigator, co-PI, or senior personnel, totaling $25 million from federal, state, foundation, and industrial sources, primarily in the area of STEM education and training. Her professional service has included membership on 2 national academies committees, and she currently is elected to serve on the American Council on Education Council Fellows Board, and as Richmond Memorial Health Foundation Trustee. Please join me to welcome Dr. Hargraves.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to be managing both my laptop because I have my notes on my laptop and also the screen. So I'll be looking and we're just going to go on a nice journey together this evening. So give me a second. Can y'all know I'm a professor at heart, so I can talk for 50 minutes, but I don't want to get between the awards this evening and y'all going home and having a good night. So I'm going to try and keep my comments brief and then open it up for questions. And we can have a wonderful conversation. So first off, I want to just say how pleased I am to have an opportunity to be here with you at Eastern New Mexico University. This is my first time in this part of the state. And to be honest with you, I haven't been in New Mexico since I was my daughter's age, when she's 11. So it's been quite a while since I've been here. So it's a pleasure to be here in your wonderful state. It's also been, I've had a wonderful time talking with some of the students and seeing some of their presentations today, to hear about your research and explorations and creative expressions. So I want to once again say what a wonderful job. So let's give all the student researchers a hand and creative artists a hand. Your work has truly been inspiring and continues to reinforce in my mind how important undergraduate and graduate education is. I'd also be remiss if I didn't extend a deep gratitude to your chancellor, your president, and Provost, and Dr. John Montgomery, and also Dean Ayala. I saw her earlier, I don't know if she's still, there she is, Dean Ayala, and also Dr. Young, and just the entire conference organizing committee. Thank you for inviting me to be here. I would not be here if it hadn't been for their invitation. And Dr. Young, you've really made me feel a part of Eastern New Mexico University, so thank you so much for your graciousness. So my remarks today will focus on a few main ideas. I'll first begin talking about the National Science Foundation and our priority areas. And then how the pillars of access, equity, innovation, and excellence in STEM education, because I am a STEM educator, and I realize we have a broad audience here, but I'm going to talk about STEM education, and then we can extrapolate how that might be applicable to other educational topics or disciplines, but how STEM education can support these priority areas. And then I'm going to drill down and how those pillars translate into action within my division, the Division of Undergraduate Education. And then finally, I'll close by talking a little bit about my own personal journey, because it lends to why I'm here with you today and why being at events like this are so important to me. So let's see. Advancing. Nope. Nope. Advanced earlier. Well, we're getting that worked out. Okay, so while I'll tell you a little bit about the National Science Foundation. There we go. Oh, well, no, I don't have to. I can jump right into our strategic plan. So the strategic plan of the National Science Foundation, which is entitled Leading the World in Discovery and Innovation, STEM Talent Development, and the Delivery of Benefits from Research, really has 4 pillars, or 4 strategic objectives. The first is to empower STEM talent to fully participate in science and engineering. Next is to create new knowledge about our universe, our world, and ourselves. Next, we want to deliver benefits to society by translating knowledge into solutions, so that's impact. And then finally, we want to excel at the work that we do. We want to excel in our operations and our management. So I'm going to focus on the empower strategic goal. So in terms of empowering, as you see up here, let me see if I can get the pointer. Empower STEM talent to fully participate in science and engineering. And if we drill down to that, it means we're talking about ensuring accessibility and inclusivity and unleashing the STEM talent for America. So basically implying that we want to grow a diverse STEM workforce that can fully participate in the STEM enterprise. Now, these other, oops, let's go back. Well, that was real fast, y'all. These, I'm not diminishing the importance of discovery, impact, and excelling in our operations, but we have to empower the STEM talent, because without people power, these other things are not achievable. So the Committee on Equal Opportunity in Science and Engineering had a report back in 2011. And it basically said that it advised NSF that broadening participation in the STEM enterprise not only provides fairness and equal opportunity, but also diversity transforms science by expanding the intellectual breadth. And then in a later report in 2020, Making Visible the Invisible, Bold Leadership Actions, what they stated here, and I am going to read this, CEOS is bringing attention to the need for a more diverse scientific leadership, more attention to economic advantage of belongingness in STEM, and increased attention to the removal of social and cultural barriers. So if we think about that, we're basically saying that there exist barriers to participation, and we need to break down those barriers. So how do we go about doing this? Well, one of the things we want to do in 2024 is create opportunities everywhere. So this says that the entire National Science Foundation, so all of our directors across all STEM disciplines and all of our offices want to ensure equity in program delivery while building on the concept of the missing millions, those who should be engaged in the STEM enterprise but are not. It focuses on expanding access and inclusion in STEM along individual, institutional, and geographic lines. So in order to do that, we have to ask ourselves, well, who are our students? And in terms of effective pedagogical practices in your classrooms, I would say, or I would posit that you have to successfully attend to diversity and inclusion. In order to do that, you first have to begin with knowing who your students are. So, these numbers are slightly different, but I will say that about 18.2 million students attended college and university in the fall of 2022, so this past fall. This data is coming from NCSES data. And I'll just say that 18.2 million is about 10% down from enrollments pre-COVID. So we saw a declining enrollment because of COVID. Of that 18.2 million, about 84% of those students were undergraduate. Of those 15 million undergraduate students, about 1/3 were part-time, 2/3 were full-time, and about 1/3 were at two-year institutions, a little over a quarter at two-year institutions, and the remainder were at four-year institutions. And of those undergraduate students, if we think about who they are, the majority of them are female. And then if we look at demographics along racial ethnic lines, we see a decrease in representation along racial ethnic lines, and also thinking about the age where our students, how old they are. Many of them are under 25 years old, but there's a significant number of our undergraduate students who are over 25 years old. So if we think about who's engaged in the STEM enterprise, we know that our population is about half women, half identify as women, half that identify as men. And then we have also these populations along racial ethnic lines. But if we look at the STEM enterprise, we don't see full participation. We know that we can do better, that this is where our STEM workforce should work. So in order to get there, I would say that we have to work in the areas of access, equity, innovation, and excellence. So how do we do that? I believe that we have to become a global leader in increasing the pipeline, addressing inequities, fostering innovation, and all that together can advance excellence. So I have what I call, now there's a whole lot of words on this slide. Now I don't expect y'all to see I tried to do my mechanical engineering gear train kind of thing. But if we look to it, let's talk about access. So thinking about access, well, how can we potentially increase access? Well, we have to talk about pathways into the profession. Not everyone is coming into STEM careers along one trajectory. So how do we promote multiple pathways to the profession? We already talked about looking at addressing the issue of the missing millions. We talked about broadening participation. But in my division, we have a series of programs that focus exactly in that area. We have a program called STEM that focuses on providing scholarships for low-income students. We have a program called the NOISE program, which provides scholarships for teachers. We have a program called ATE, Advanced Technological Education, which focuses on technician education. And then we also have a program that focuses on Hispanic serving institutions. The idea is that we are supporting our communities and we are supporting our stakeholders. And one example of a project like this that we have recently funded is a program called Greater Equity, Access, and Readiness for Success in Engineering and Technology, a pathway to and through engineering at the University of Toledo. And what's been really interesting about this project is that as an engineer, the journey through engineering is not always the easiest journey, y'all. There are sometimes challenges that can deter students from completing their degree. What this program decided to do, where those students who did not gain direct admission into their College of Engineering were admitted to a Department of Exploratory Studies in the University College, where they received curricular and co-curricular support in preparation to transfer into the College of Engineering. And what this program did was address the need to provide exploratory studies to students with greater access to and success in engineering. So that's just one project that we fund in our division. If we think about equity, well, what are issues that we see around equity? Well, not our undergraduate student population in the STEM disciplines doesn't reflect our US population. So now we have to talk about how do we recruit and retain a broad, diverse student body? How do we prepare the workforce so that they can be successful? And all of our learners do not come into the disciplines with the same skills and gifts and talents. But we have a tendency to teach all of our students exactly the same way. I'm going to say that again. We have a tendency to teach our students all the exact same way, even though they can typically demonstrate competencies depending upon their talents. So how do we do differentiated instruction and set up ways in which students can show mastery of the skills in a differentiated manner? That takes work. Every professor in here knows that it is easier to write a single exam to test everyone on than to come up with different modes for students to demonstrate their competencies. What I appreciated about this fair today was that our students showed mastery of their competencies in their respective fields through projects. That's yet another way. Sometimes they can show it through their skills by engaging other students and teaching them. So we have to look at ways in which we can give students an ability or the opportunity to show how they know, how they master the content. That often means that we have to change our policies, we have to change our practices, and in many ways, we have to change the communities that we outreach to because not all of our communities are finding their pathways into our institutions. Now, Eastern New Mexico University, I believe, does a wonderful job. Because if I look at the student body here, I see broad representation. And that's saying something about this institution. This is not necessarily the case at every institution, and we know that. So, y'all are doing something right here. So, within the Division of Undergraduate Education, we have programs, once again, like STEM, which I said focuses on low-income students, but we also have a racial equity program, in which we fund projects that explore addressing issues of racial equity. And we have ECR, which is our engineering core research program, which focuses on doing fundamental research in education. So another example of a project that's focused in this area of equity is the Program for Engineering Access, Retention, and Lietas Success, PEARLS, which is at the University of Puerto Rico Live West. So their focus is on recruiting and retaining and engaging academically talented students from economically disadvantaged groups into pathways to successful engineering careers. I'm sorry, a lot of my stuff is engineering. We fund all STEM, I just happen to be an engineer. So I don't know why I gravitate towards engineering. My husband's an engineer, my sisters are engineers, I tell you, it's just in my blood. But in this program, they are actually giving students not only research experiences, but they're also looking at internship, co-op experiences, peer mentoring experiences, all creating this integrated learning community where students, faculty, and staff work together towards a common goal of student success. So next we talk about innovation. Well, oftentimes innovation occurs at the interstitials. And I like to say that's the space where disciplines come together, potentially touch, but not cross or intersect. There is a great deal that we can learn by bringing together our artists and our engineers, our English majors and our computer scientists. How do we create these really interesting opportunities for collaboration across disciplines? Because we have some really compelling challenges that we're facing today. And we can't solve them individually, we have to solve them collectively. So our goal would be to, we fund convergent research. We're talking about funding new discoveries and ideas and resulting in new intellectual property. In the Division of Undergraduate Education, we're looking at pedagogical innovations and curriculum development. And I talked about interdisciplinary. So let's take the challenge of K-12 education. We have different modes and opportunities there are different organizations that are trying to address the problems, the challenges facing public school education. Schools of education aren't going to do it all. School divisions aren't going to do it all. Private industry isn't going to do it all. Volunteer organizations aren't going to do it all. It takes a collective impact model where we all come together to tackle this problem, and that takes innovative thinking. And like I said, it happens through partnerships and collaboration. So this project is an example where it's Project ACE. It's an active learning based engineering. I promise y'all we fund more than engineers, y'all. Active learning based, I'm gonna have to change this presentation next time. So I have like biology and computer science and chemistry examples. But this is a project at Sacramento State University where it aims to serve the national interest by significantly enhancing a student's engineering identity, self-efficacy, and sense of belonging. So they aren't just working with engineers. They're trying to bring together a novel approach that targets selected courses along critical pathways in the engineering curriculum, where students can engage in authentic, active learning experiences, solving open-ended, real-world problems that employ professional research practices used in the field. So bringing industry together with academia so we can create real-world problems that our engineering students can tackle so they can see how what they're learning in their classes relates to what they would be doing in the field. So lastly, I would say that together, when we bring all these together, addressing access, addressing equity, and fostering innovation, we're able to achieve excellence. And excellence doesn't mean that we sit and say, okay, we've done group one. It really is a journey of continuous improvement, reflection, and evaluation. We really have to continue fostering connections because those connections, if you don't continue to cultivate them, they can go off and no longer, they could die down. Once again, this will result in pedagogical innovations and curriculum development, new policies, practices, and broadening our outreach so that we can advance in my area, the scholarship on teaching and learning, which is what SOTL is, of broadening participation. So together, what we do in the Division of Undergraduate Education is bring all these together so that we can achieve the vision of improving, promoting excellence in 2-year and 4-year institutions, STEM education at 2-year and 4-year institutions. So I believe in the power of telling stories. And yes, I'm going to go all the way back to when I was a baby, and I'm going to work my way on up through where I was a child and wanted. No, I'm not going to do all that. But I am going to share, let's see, how am I doing in time? Okay, I'm going to spend the last 5 minutes or so talking about my journey. And the reason why I want to talk about my journey is because it may resonate with some of your journeys, but it is the power in our stories, to me, that we share with each other that continue to inspire us to work and move forward in our journeys on our life path. So my road, y'all gonna have to sit through this. My road starts with my parents. Yes, that's a young version of me. That's me right there. Those are my parents and my 2 sisters. This was a long time ago, y'all, because I'm probably in my 30s in that picture, and I am not in my 30s anymore. But my parents raised 3 engineers. Now, we were engineers in the 1980s. So you can imagine that being a Black woman in the engineering discipline isn't that common these days. It's more common, but it definitely wasn't common in the 1980s. And so we listened to our parents. Our parents said, you go to college. Okay, I don't necessarily believe this philosophy all wholeheartedly, but you go to college to get a job, to get a career. And so that meant that people who graduated with engineering degrees got jobs. And I would not say that happened to fit for us too. So, and instead of us dissing our parents, which a lot of kids do, we decided to listen to our parents. Now, I will say that my younger sister is now a lawyer, and my older sister got her PhD in public policy. So engineering laid the foundation for us to go on and do other things. I'm the only one still doing engineering. I started out, I did science fairs when I was in junior high. I told you I was going to go all the way back. I did science fairs in junior high school. I was born and raised in Washington, D.C. I actually was an exchange student in high school. I went and studied abroad in Germany, which leads to why you heard that long list that Dr. Young said she's done this job and this job and this job. Part of it has to do with the fact that I had all these influences growing up. And then I went on to college. I went to the University of Virginia, where I studied engineering. I worked at the Hewlett-Packard company. I was in the National Society of Black Engineers, and I was also in the Society of Women Engineers. The reason why I bring up these because I had real world experiences, experiential learning. I found myself where I had a group of folks that I could identify with that increased my sense of belonging, that I felt like I did indeed belong and should be there. So while I was in college, I did not always do well. In fact, I had one semester that I had never seen grades like that on a report card in my entire life. And only because this is live streamed and I don't know who else would hear it, I'm not going to tell y'all what my GPA was. But it was bad. And I tried to hide it from my parents because they paid for my college, and I wasted a semester. But you know what? I learned a deep lesson from that. Do not let your failure define your future. I could have shied away from it. I could have said, it's not for me. I said, no, I'm going to continue. I set out on this journey, and there's something about this discipline that I like, so I'm going to stick to it. Those C's and D's in those classes did not necessarily reflect what my potential was in the field. So don't let your failure define your future. Be resilient. I went on to do postgraduate work. Now, I was never going to get a PhD. Never, y'all. Never. I had no desire to. I wanted to go out and work in industry. I wanted to be a captain of industry. But my family and my mentors had different designs for me. and with a lot of peer pressure from colleagues from friends who continue to encourage me to do graduate work, I went on ahead and studied, even though I was poor, because we only got paid $1,000 a month. When I was in grad school, my friends were out making $30,000, $40,000 a year. Remember, this is back in the 90s, y'all. $30,000, $40,000 was a lot of money back then. I decided to go ahead and do graduate school. Once again, I listened to my parents in that case. But deferred gratification is worth it. I could have said I want to go out and get a job. It's important for me to get a job. It's important for me to have money. But it was worth putting off that, going to graduate school and embarking upon a career that I turned out loving. And I will also say that while people believed that I could, there were people who believed I couldn't do this. In fact, I had a faculty member tell me that they let me in to my program, and that if I reapplied, because I didn't really want to go and I'll just go later. He said if I reapplied, I wouldn't get in. Once again, I could have let that defer me and derail me, but I said, nope, let me show you. Yeah, I had a little chip on the shoulder. So I went on, plus I had been in school all my life, so what's another 4 or 5 years? I had a series of instrumental mentors who helped me along my journey. So lesson 1, don't dish your parents. Lesson 2, be resilient. Lesson 3, deferred gratification is okay. Lesson 4, don't let others define your potential. Lesson 5, get a mentor or 2 or 3. It's very important for you to have folks who you can trust to provide you advice along this journey. And it's okay if you take little breaks along your journey. I spent a few years at the U.S. Agency for International Development, where I focused on the role of science and technology in international development. I visited many countries around the world. And then I went back to VCU, and then I came back, and now I'm doing a stint at NSF, where I get to fund projects all over the country and in various areas. So just 3 more lessons. Don't be afraid to take a detour. Take advantage of opportunities when presented to you, and know what motivates you. So I'm going to close by talking about what motivates me. What I always wanted to do is help make the world better. What I wanted to do was help improve the human condition. What I wanted to do was tackle some of the grand challenges that are facing our country and our globe today. And I wanted to do that through education and research. And I have been able to have a wonderful career where I've been able to do these things by being a professor and teaching. It is a phenomenal career. I hope some of our young folks here, our students, because not all our students are young folks, I hope some of our students in here will consider a career in higher ed. It is one of the most fulfilling careers you can possibly have. I'll close by, that was supposed to be my last slide. All right, I got 2 more. So, identifying areas of greatest impact in developing plans, learning from other programs, and garnering additional resources are ways in which we at the National Science Foundation try to leverage what we do to have the greatest impact. So I want to say thank you, and I'll close with a quote from Nelson Mandela, someone who I've admired for so much of my life, that education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Let's go out and change the world. Thank you. Okay, that was longer than 5 additional minutes. That was an additional 10 minutes, but thank you for bearing with me. So.
Thanks very much for the informative, inspiring lecture. Yes, our take-home message: access, equity, innovation, excellence, which your division tries to.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
Questions?
Okay, so I either put everybody to sleep, or I just hit all the good points, or y'all are waiting to hear who the winners are. I know that's what it is. Y'all want to know who won the money. Okay. So machine learning is. We were having a conversation at the table. Machine learning and ChatGPT is what is definitely a hot topic right now. It's been kind of amazing to see how the technology has accelerated. I started in the area back in the 80s, the late 80s, early 90s, and I had no clue that it would grow to be what it is today. I did not think that as I was working on my own learning algorithms, that it would then evolve into deep learning algorithms and the ways in which just the sheer amount of information and technology that we have access to and the ways in which we have developed systems that can learn from their environment have really advanced the field. And what we are dealing with now are tensions between it as a tool in education and it as a threat to education. As a tool, we have these intelligent tutoring systems. We have customized learning. We have ways in which we can sort of data mine information about our students and figure out the best ways to educate them. As a threat, we're worried about plagiarism. We're worried about authenticity of an individual's work. We're worried about misdirection and inaccurate information being then reproduced because of the information that is being exposed to. When I was working with students in South Africa has 11 official languages. And we were trying to develop an algorithm that could recognize all 11 languages. 11 official languages. Y'all know how hard it is when you call and you're talking to automated system. They're like, did you ask train status or did you say, you just can't understand you. So we were working on that. So, but how do we make sure, who do we present is training on? Who are we training it on? And if we're training it on certain populations, does that automatically exclude other populations? So these are all tensions that we are exploring. And one of the other things we have to be always aware of is the ethical responsibility we have in our work. And so it's wonderful to do the science, it's wonderful to advance discovery. And I'll be honest, when I was thinking about early work that I was doing in machine learning, I didn't, because I couldn't comprehend where it could go, I didn't think about all the potential ethical consequences of what I was doing. And we have to instill that early on. Let's extrapolate that. You have to be a chess player, right? You have to think about all the possible moves to then begin to imagine what could potentially happen as a result of the work and your discoveries. So just always keep that in the back of your mind, that as you're advancing your science, as you're advancing your theorems, as you're advancing your creative expressions, that the impact, hopefully always positive, it will have on the world, but there always tends to be these unintended consequences. And how do you minimize those unintended negative consequences and maximize the unintended positive consequences? Any other questions? Yes?
I don't think I have to stand up, but I can if you want. So I really appreciate that you talked about this idea of mentorship and having multiple mentors.
Yes.
What advice would you give to faculty in terms of helping students find mentors? Because obviously you're potentially in a mentorship role, but also we want to help students find mentors who are perhaps a better fit or in their field or whatever.
I would say be brave and be bold. So I am an extrovert. I am not an introvert. So it's a little easier for me to meet someone and go up to them and talk to them. I identified some of my mentors because of me reading about them and saying, I'm going to reach out to them and talk to them. And it was that one email. Now, I was very fortunate that they responded to me. Not everybody's going to respond to you, but you never know. So I would say that be willing to take the risk. They are just people. They could be your mother, they could be your auntie, they're just people. All you can do is ask, And my parents had an old saying, nothing beats a failure but a try. I don't know exactly what that means, except that you need to at least try. Because if you don't try, then you won't know. So you gotta at least put yourself out there to try. It may work, it may not work. I will also say that please explore non-traditional mentors. Your mentors can look like you, but they don't have to look like you. Your mentors can be in other fields. And your mentors, the ones that I identified up there at VCU, one was a historian, one was a social worker, and one was an engineer. I had a mentor who was an author, but I did have a mentor who was a Black woman PhD in electrical engineering. So be willing to expand your breadth and build on relationships and build on connections. I'm big on connecting people. So if you have an opportunity to connect someone with someone, then do that. And just expand your network. Networking is really important. And you have to do it on your own terms. If you're an introvert, sometimes that means just having a single conversation with the person on a more private level. You know, maybe doing that outreach. You might not do it in a very social setting like something like this, but you might go and knock on their door to their office. It is not always easy for everyone, and not everyone knows how to be a good mentor. I'll finish answering this by saying, one of the things someone told me a long time ago was that sometimes the people you mentor are going to be smarter than you, are going to be better than you. Get out of their way. Because I have some amazing people who have worked for me, and I have tried to create opportunities for them because I know they will surpass me. And it's okay to surpass you if you were the mentor. It's okay for your protege to surpass you. In fact, it's a reflection on you because you set them up to surpass you. I mean, there are a whole lot of people in this world who are a whole lot smarter than me. And I appreciate and have a whole lot more talent than me and don't have nearly half the flaws, don't have half the flaws I do, not nearly half the flaws I do. And it's okay. I get out of my way, I get out of their way and do the best that I can to support them on their upward journey. Yes. Uh-oh, this is a ringer. That's what I wonder what he's going to ask me. Yes, sir. It is a both and. I have come across some students which have really touched me in ways that I couldn't have imagined, and therefore I reached out to them. I saw their talent, and I said, I want to be a part of this student's journey on their pathway to greatness, and so I reached out to them. I had students who came up to me and introduced themselves to me and said, Dr. Hobson or Dr. Hargraves, however they knew me, will you be my mentor? And I said, sure. I don't know if I know what you need to know, but I'll do the best that I can. And so it's a both and in that case. Yes?
You talked about the different levels of education that you work with.
Mm-hmm.
Have you developed anything for anyone who is at the public education level from K through 12?
Yes. Oh, I love Mike. So our NOISE program works specifically with K-12 pre-service and K-12 in-service teachers. So we have grants that we have awarded. It's a scholarship program. And so we support students in their academic pursuits so that they can then, but we have a hitch, there's a catch. It's a scholarship for service. We then want them to go teach in a high need school. For every year of a scholarship they got, they need to teach for 2 years in a high need school. We also have programs in which we work with teachers who've been working in the field and maybe they don't have their master's degree and they want to go get their master's degree, or they already have their master's degree and they want to become better in their field. And so we support them in professional development. We also give them a stipend, a minimum $10,000 annual stipend that they then, and sometimes it's higher depending upon where they're teaching, and the award, but they are with us for 5 years on that journey. And our goal is to keep them engaged in the classroom. I told one of the young women today who I was one of the poster presenters, I had one of my teachers tell me, who taught at a high-needs school in Richmond, they said, teaching is like seeing the most beautiful sunrise you've ever seen in your entire life every day. And getting punched in the gut every day. It is a hard job. It is an incredible, fulfilling job. And it's the difficulty that takes teachers away, but it's the joy that keeps them in it. And we want to make sure in the Noise program to make sure that there is this continued support so that you can cling to that joy all the time, even when things get tough. Being a professor is like that too sometimes. I can't say I've got punched in the gut, but there have been some difficult times and there have been some incredibly fulfilling times that have made the job worthwhile. So hats off to all our future K-12 teachers in here. I am really, and all those who will be working with K-12 teachers, thank you for that service and commitment you're making to our children.
Everyone, let's give our speaker another round of applause.
Thanks again, Dr. Hargraves. That was wonderful. Right now, the best part of the evening, well, second to Dr. The awards. So I'm just going to jump right in. For the Electronics and Engineering Technology group, we have a two-way tie. Matthew Kuby for his individual presentation, and Richard Sandoval, Sarah Glasstetter, and Matthew Kuby again for the group presentation. For Creative Works, Jessica Barron. For the mixed posters, we have a two-way tie, Alyssa Aragon and Christina Kane-Bart. Biology, we have another two-way tie, Joshua Gonzalez and Nicole Webb. So we have several two-way ties. Congratulations. Okay, for computer science and engineering, Jacqueline Chavez and Stephen Villanueva. And for chemistry, Enrique Martinez. Agriculture, Brianna Fryman and Haley Warren. Oral presentations biology group, Cecilia Torres. Education Group, please forgive me if I mess this name up. Itzin Lizama. Oh, just a note to our winners, if you could stay after and fill out that form that's in there. Dr. Stark.
Okay, for the second half of the awards. And just FYI, if there is a tie, there's only one folder, so stick with that second person. Okay, oral presentations in the humanities group, Sierra Beverly. In the fine arts group, Santiago Chacon and Jai Whitaker. Okay. Oh, there you are. Congratulations. The media studies group, Cheyenne Kissy Dowdell. Okay, our third psychology panel, Chelsea Hatfield. Our second psychology panel, Kayla Hine. Our first psychology group, Nadia Kakadas. And last but not least, in the mathematics group, Stephen Washington. Okay. Well, congratulations to all the winners. I'm Dr. Chelsea Starr, by the way. I'm co-chair of the Student Research and Creativity Conference, and I'd like to take just a minute to thank the committee for their effort in putting this all together. It's not something that can be done alone. Thank you for Dr. Montgomery for your guidance during the process, to Dr. Lorenz for sponsoring the dinner and conference through the Office of Academic Affairs. Thanks to Ms. Estela Banuelos for her assistance in managing all of the day-to-day tasks for the conference. And of course, thank you to the students that submitted their research and creative work, the judges, moderators, and faculty advisors. This conference is for you, and you all did wonderfully. If you were a winner, please meet me at the back to deal with your paperwork so that you can get your prize. And thank you for attending the awards banquet. And this concludes the 49th Annual Student Research and Creativity Conference. Thank you all.